What is up, and welcome back to Cryptographics. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're talking about the 10,000x hedonic effect of PulseX, Pulsechain, and HEX. What the heck does that mean? Well, you're going to find out. Stick around. This is going to be a cool one. So, the PulseX or PLS 10,000x. Many of us dream or have this feeling that one or more of these new opportunities within this ecosystem will change our lives. And while 10,000x is the go-to number at the moment as the gold standard, it seems for many of us, it may take maybe a 10x, 100x, or even 1,000x to have our lives completely changed, not just the 10,000x. That just seems to be what the gold standard is right now. That's like HEX did a 10,000x, so now everything else, if it doesn't do a 10,000x, is not as cool, right? So, but this effect can be compared to winning the lottery in a way. Let's check it out. The 10,000x. Many lottery winners completely change their lifestyles. Like completely. They buy fancy things like Lambos, or they go and buy a stupidly big mansion. They spend ridiculous amounts of money on experiences they previously were unable to afford. Now, not all lottery winners splurge, and many will help family and friends pay off debts, upgrade the base lifestyle to a manageable degree, and even donate some of the winnings. But many don't. And check this out. Let's look at some statistics on what happens here. So, we won. And then about 70% of people who won suddenly receive, about 70% of people who suddenly receive a windfall of cash lose it within a few years, according to the National Endowment for Financial Education. That includes lottery winners. So 70% will lose it. And a small percentage even go bankrupt. So nearly 3/4 of people who win the lottery just lose it. From millionaire to broke. Like that. So not only do nearly 3 in 4 people who win the lottery lose it all, but many people report depression and tragic events happening due to their massive life changes. Like the money that they get actually causes them to have more misery than had they not had it, because they don't know how to handle it apparently, or something, right? We're going to find out. How is it that people can get depressed from a 10,000x, or from winning the lottery, or winning an absurd amount of money from investing in HEX, PulseX, or Pulsechain? This is called, let's look at the hedonic principle. This is the principle that states after both positive or negative effects, people will always return to a baseline of happiness. It shows how all feelings of elation or despair and anything in between due to life events will always settle at the original baseline. So, to be clear, what that means is if something really, really good happens to you, right, you're going to feel like some part of your life fundamentally changes in a positive way. Your happiness, how you feel internally, is going to feel like has increased. And this will go up for a period of time. And as time goes on, it will slowly start to plateau. And when you get to that plateau, you feel like you are just as happy as if you had never won the lottery. You're in that same state. It's not as if you never won, but your overall level of well-being and happiness will hit us similar to the baseline that you were originally at. So, does this explain why lottery winners become depressed? Maybe. But let's keep going. The problem with just relying on this principle at face value is that it states that you always return to a baseline of happiness, meaning you'll just come back and you can just be just as happy as if nothing ever happened, and your experiences aren't important, or your experiences don't account for anything. The principle itself does not account for perspective, which is incredibly important when we're looking at this. When something really good happens to us, like winning a lottery or getting a 10,000x from HEX, PulseX, or Pulsechain, we see everything else in life relative to our new level of experience. So let's break this down. What we previously viewed as a delicious meal may seem mediocre after having a private chef since we now have enhanced our perception of what we can experience. It's like seeing a face in a rock. We can never unsee or unexperience something, right? So stay with me here. I believe this is also how the lottery effect happens. The chance of winning the lottery is so low that those who do experience it experience an unbelievable increase in temporary happiness due to it being so unlikely. The more unexpected an event is, the greater emotional impact it has on us. So what can happen when we experience extreme positive emotions from the lottery or a 10,000X or incredible gains in whatever that looks like for you? We can start to rely on the ability to obtain material things and experiences that we could not previously achieve, that could not allow us to previously achieve happiness. This attachment at the root is based on money, because you can't buy these things without money. You can't get your Lambo, you can't get your mansion, you can't go and get your VIP booth in the club, you can't do whatever, right? You can't buy your $10,000 shirt. This is a recipe for disaster by relying on material things. So when the hit from the spending of the money goes away, the need to spend even more will arrive, or depression and confusion can happen as we come back down to earth from our all-time high. As we get used to things giving us happiness, we stop allowing ourselves to do things for ourselves or be just in a state of happiness. We're reliant on something else for our happiness. Money will never sustain happiness. It's a tool and it is fuel for life, but it is limited to that. That's all it will ever be. So the solution here, remember how we talked about the more unexpected events triggering more of an emotional response? When we're in this space, particularly this ecosystem, with the potential growth we might see, we have to plan on making 10,000X. The more we plan on making this money, the less the desired outcome will impact our decisions. How can we do this? And why? Why would we make a plan? Well, remember what we talked about with the emotional response, like 3 lines ago talked about. When we're in our emotions, we're out of logic. We're thinking, we aren't able to think. Our emotions are flooding us. Our amygdala is flooding our brain and not allowing us to think logically. We were reactive. We're doing things without actually planning them out. We're not really acting in our own accord and in control. We're completely out of control when our emotions are getting us revved up out of, even if it's a positive emotion. So how could we do this? We need to plan out how you'll make it happen and know what you will do when it happens. And I really mean know. The less unexpected this type of outcome is, the more rational we can remain and stop ourselves from attaching our egos to our money or making poor decisions financially. Know, actually know as deeply as you can that you will make X outcome happen. Even if that's a 10,000X, a 100X, a 10X, know that it's going to happen and exactly how you will act afterwards. So you know the outcome and you know how you're going to react when the outcome happens, because there's no surprise, right? As Alex Hormozy said, now this guy is a very successful entrepreneur. Watching a video of his recently, and one of the quotes that he said that stuck with me is, "What previously got you from a 0 to a 1 will not get you from a 1 to a 2. We have to change our mindsets to properly climatize to the sudden change. I'm going to break this down a little bit. Going from a 0 to 1, it's like you're born, you figure out what it takes to make $50,000 or whatever wage that you get to. Beyond that, there's a reason you haven't gone to the levels that you've maybe wanted to, or I've wanted to, or whoever wanted to, right? We have not gotten to an elite level yet for a reason, or we have not gotten to or attained our goals because they're habits we haven't had, or mindset problems that we have, or internal issues that we haven't gotten over that are holding us back. And we need to figure out what to let go of and new skills to apply. So we have to change our mindsets to properly climatize to the sudden change. Otherwise, we're going to end up like every other lottery winner. Guaranteed. So finally, resetting the baseline. As we talked about, we can never unexperience anything. So we'll be stuck at a baseline forever with a perspective that makes us unappreciative of lesser or normal experiences. I believe that there is a way to change this perspective though. Psychological or physical challenges and or suffering. And I don't mean suffering as though you lose an arm or like you get in a car crash. I mean like it sucks. It's difficult to go through. It's not necessarily fun, but nonetheless, it's the only way I see, and I'll explain this here. This is the way to change your perception. So think about it like this. Think about when you experience a challenge that puts you through some sort of suffering or deprivation from your day-to-day happiness. Anything at all. Here's my examples. Have you ever gone a day without food? How good was that first meal afterwards? Whether it was a fast or you couldn't eat for a while, how good was that food? What about weeks of rain to finally get a day of sunshine? You appreciate that sunny day and you want to get out there so much more after the rain than you'll ever see if all you get is sunshine, because you may never experience how amazing it truly is. You need rain to know how great the sun is. So challenges bring us back to a baseline where we can appreciate things for what they are, despite having experienced incredible luxury in the past. Suffering can bring us back to happiness with perspective of both sides. We can appreciate things that aren't quite up to what we have experienced, but still appreciate them, knowing that there is still better. We have that perspective on life. So get your mind and your ego right before you get your money, or your ego and your emotions control your money. I'm going to say that again. Get your mind and your ego right before you get your money, or your ego and emotions control your money. Remember this as your wealth accumulates, because the less people wreck themselves, the more power this community has to help make a positive impact on the world. There are crazy things happening in the world, and we may need all the voices we can get in order to make change or prevent certain types of change if we need to prevent something. The more people understand and know that whatever happens with money, they need to be right first, and the money's only going to amplify that, the more people can stop themselves from becoming that 70% lottery winner, a person who loses it all after 3 years, or that person that goes completely broke. Can make change for your life and for people around you in a positive way. And I know that this is a projection of what I want as a person, but I really do believe that if everyone takes this and applies it in their own way, when they get to that stage of their lives where they've made a ton more money than they've ever made, using these principles to shape how they've grown and to be ready for this can really help. And I'm not a millionaire. I am absolutely not. But I have had experiences in my past that have completely validated this way of thinking. And the actions I'm taking today are because of these past experiences. And this is why I'm saying this right now, is because I've had realizations and I have heard other people who are very successful saying very similar things. So I wanted to bring this to you guys so that way when this happens, remember, you know it's going to happen. Know it. When this happens, you're ready for it and you're okay with it. It is what it is. And you take the next step after that. You don't need to freak out and lose it all. Whew. All right. A little bit of a different episode today. So guys, I really appreciate you checking this out. Thank you so much for watching. And 700 subscribers. Literally 12 or 13 days. I don't even know. We've had like 300 subscribers or more in the past almost day. You guys are crazy. Wow. If you're not already following me on Twitter, follow me at Cryptographics. I have been on the grind trying to get these presentations and the blogs and everything up to coincide with each other. And I know I say to follow me and I've gone completely MIA. That's going to change soon. I'm figuring everything out here. So follow me on Twitter. Thank you for doing that. And please, guys, like the video if you enjoyed it. Please leave me a comment on what you thought of the video. If you disagree completely, if you have things to add, if you think I said too much or too little, doesn't matter. Please leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. And also subscribe. Guys, one more time. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Peace.